This week we are joined with Ballymun Superman Ger Prendergast. Ger is the first Irish person to complete 2 decas, the longest triathlon done by an Irish person, the first Irish person to finish a 1-day deca and a continuous deca and also win both. He's completed 10 Ironmans in 10 days, 52 triathlons in 52 weeks. This fella is an absolute machine. We hope you enjoyed this one. Welcome to episode 3 of Pen Over a Goal podcast. My name is Shane.
My name's Dean, and today we have the David Goggins of Ireland, Ger Prendergast. Ger, we're honoured to have you on today.
No, thanks for having me on, lads. Looking forward to it all week, yeah. Fair play.
I suppose we'll start off with what it was like growing up in Ballymun and the sort of challenges faced.
Yeah, like we I suppose I was very lucky. I grew up with like 6 brothers and 6 sisters, so I'm from a big family, so there was always somebody to knock around with. And my dad was, you know, we were talking about the book there last week, and chapter of the book is, the first chapter of the book is all about growing up in Ballymun. And that chapter is called The Urban Farm. Yeah. Because when we grew up, my dad was mad into gardening. Everything we ate, he grew, you know, that way. We had chickens, we had geese, it was like a little farm, you know, that way.
In Ballymun, this was?
In Ballymun, yeah. Now the house is still there, my mum's there. My dad passed away not last year, the year before, end of 2022. But my mum is still over there, and you know, the garden is still there. Obviously, all his plants and stuff. But yeah, we like big family, lots of stuff to do. Like, you know, like he always used to try and get us planting stuff for him, and I was cleaning out the chickens and also bleeding horrible.
I say that was horrible.
It was nasty. But like, so we were very happy growing up, you know.
Yeah.
And we are lucky as well. I know there's a lot of building going on now with, you know, population getting bigger and bigger. But when we were kids, there was a field. It was like our own private little football field, literally right beside our house. And we'd be in that field from like morning till night. In the summer, we'd be honestly 7 a.m. till 12 p.m. Non-stop playing football all day, every day, and whatever else games, you know. So, yeah, we had a good childhood growing up, like, you know. Like, actually, we played football, as I said, all the time. And we had 2 of our friends on the same street, the Dorans, Robbie and John. And then myself and my brothers that are around my age as well, we had our own little football team, you know. Yeah. So, like, you know the way the roads would play through that, so we'd have to drive against Coultry Lawn and blah, blah, blah. And we were the Prendergasts, you know what I mean? So it was like the drive against the Prendergasts and all. It was great.
Like a mini World Cup or something.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, we were basically doing transfers. I remember we used to play outside James Conley Tower. There used to be like a football pitch, like tarmac. And I remember, I feel bad to this day about it. I remember we used to play against, say, that was the 7-story flats and we were the big block. Yeah. So we used to play that, and then one day they bought me for a can of Coke.
That's all it would.
They go, we give you a can of Coke to join us. I'm with them now.
Yeah, it was a big transfer back then. Yeah, can of Coke. Jesus. But yeah, no, it was great. We always had something to do, you know. I remember as well, like, I lost the sight, me eye actually growing up. Right. We are in the same field actually, and do you remember, I don't know if you remember, you'd be familiar with Coultry kind of Crescent area?
Yeah.
But you know where the centre is now, kind of up past that now, is like, we used to call them the backers or the back hills. So it was like a bit of a dumping ground, you know that way? Yeah. And again, I talk about this in the book as well, but we used to go up there, play up there as well, like, you know, we were in the army or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, it's deadly, didn't it?
Yeah. But we got, do you remember the old cots? It was like sticks, round kind of pole sticks, which was the gate, and you used to lower up and down to take the kid in. Or basically somebody dumped one of them there, and we broke it up and took the sticks off it, like playing swords and thought we were ninjas and all this kind of stuff. And then we were playing like javelin with them as well, like, you know, or sticking them into the ground. And then the young lad across the road gave one a boot out of the ground, and it went straight into
the eye. That's how it happened, was it?
Yeah. I think I was 7 then, like, you know. I remember nothing about it.
Yeah,
honest, you know.
just a small bit of what happened.
I remember nothing about it. I remember going to the hospital for years thereafter, you know, for checkups and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think it turned into an infection. It wasn't completely blind straight away. I think it turned into an infection on the loss of sight. But that was, you know, apart from that, everything else was great growing up in Ballymun.
Did it affect you when you were going into like the fitness run around the eyesight?
Like they say, right, when you lose a sight in one eye, you lose all that depth perception. The only time I ever really noticed it was when, let's say, I lived in the flats then later on with my partner, and when you go to press the button for the lift or something like that kind of thing, you'd miss the button.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
But in terms of playing football, I don't remember having to build up the kind of the improvement in my depth perception.
Yeah.
That's what you kind of have to do. Like if you lost one now, you'd be all over the place for a few months or years or whatever, trying to get used to picking things up and all that kind of stuff. So I don't even remember, having to improve that. Like it just, I totally kind of forgot all about it. And it was just natural for me, that way. So it didn't really affect me, if I'm honest. Where it did affect me was, I suppose, even now, like I'm 43 now, so I have a lot more confidence. We were talking about getting confidence from podcasts and speaking with people. I got my confidence, I suppose, from doing boot camp classes with people, that way.
Yeah.
But back then, like, I wouldn't be able to look at you, that way. I wouldn't be able to walk into a shop and buy something. I used to send my friends in because I was so, I suppose, anxious about looking at people or talking to people, because I didn't want them looking at, like, I was very self-conscious about it, that way.
Yeah, I know.
And I still do be a bit, but nothing to that level, like, So that's where it affected me. And there was a bit of a knock-on effect, I suppose, into my teens, like, when we went into the comp, say, that way, mixing with lads who are your age as a teenager, I was very quiet then, so I suppose I was good at school because I kept to myself and I studied at home, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I was a good student, but I wasn't good socially, that way.
Yeah.
And then when we went into, say, 5th year, 6th year, you mix with the girls as well.
Yeah, you have to start coming socially then.
Exactly. It really was that. Like, it was like an overnight thing. You're forced to. And it was a good thing. But, but still, it was difficult, that way.
I know what you mean,
So it affected me that way, like,
So, kind of going up and then into your late, say teens, how did you first get into, like, what was the point you got into running at the start? Like, what was the first point that...
Like, I didn't start running. I didn't start running until 2011, and it was more from my boot camp. I started doing boot camp for people in 2010, and then a few of them wanted to do a run. They done a 5k. It was in the Phoenix Park. It was like a cancer thing or something, to raise money for cancer, a 5k, and it was in June. It was like probably the hottest day of the year, and then so I said I'd do it with them, and I rocked up to the start line, and I was in Under Armour gear, a pair of Nike Air Max that were like wellies, like, I hadn't a clue. I think I'd done the first K. I talk about overheating. I nearly passed out from the heat, like, that way. So I hadn't a clue what I was doing. But I was always into fitness, like, and like, I grew up, as I said, that was another good thing about my dad. He was great. Like, he kept us very close, that way. So we never got dragged into the, the situation in the 80s with the heroin or whatever. My dad was very clued into all that, like, and he was quite strict with us, but it was obviously to our benefit, like, so, like, we were not allowed to leave that football pitch I mentioned earlier. We were to stay there all day. That's why we never even joined football clubs, like, and again, if you're familiar with what happened with the likes, did you ever hear what happened with Ballymun Hearts?
Yeah.
He was very clear,
so
that way.
It worked out to benefit you.
It really, really did. And so we had our own football team. He actually set up a gym for us in Coultry. So we lived in Coultry Crescent, and the first block in Coultry, if you're familiar with, if you remember the flats, they started in Coultry, right at the bottom of Coultry Crescent, and then worked their way around to the Virgin Mary. Yeah. So we had a gym set up in the basement of the first block of flats. Like, originally started it as a boxing gym.
Oh, I actually think I do.
Was that beside the Pink Panther van?
No, it was up farther. And then it ended up years later. It ended up at the Virgin Mary block.
Right, yeah.
Matty had the Pink Panther.
Matty, that's how I remember. Yeah.
I know Matty well as well.
Yeah, it was up say the Pink Panther might have been, say, halfway between the Virgin Mary and that block I'm talking about. So it was up the other end. But started. So all my brothers were great boxers. Like, Matty, one of them. Kevin was an excellent boxer. He's my younger brother. The two eldest, John and Dave, they all were all Ireland champions and everything.
Really?
They are quality boxers. Yeah. And obviously, I was 7. I was boxing at the time with them. Yeah. But I couldn't compete or even spar. Well, I did spar, but I wasn't supposed to spar.
On the sly.
Yeah. I know, more so they threw me in, like, but I wouldn't have been allowed completely, you know, that way. But I still done all the training and all that kind of stuff, because my dad wanted us to be able to handle ourselves, you know, that way. And again, as I said,
you need it around body more.
So it kept us away from all that crap, yet it made us kind of be able to handle ourselves.
Made us stronger.
And the health and fitness thing. So we were always into, like, and he used to, like, our holidays back then as well was like 2 weeks in Blessington, you know, in a tent camping, like, you know, it's unheard of now. Like, you have, what are all these places like River Valley, and that's not camping. You know, that's not camping.
Showers and everything.
Camping, proper camping. Tins of beans over the fire, you know, the way, send you down to the lake to
go hunt at dinner there.
Like, literally, like, we used to go catching rabbits.
Old skill.
Proper stuff, like, you know. So we, like, it was amazing, like, you know, really were happy kids growing up, and we were well looked after, like, you know, we didn't want for anything as well. Like, as I said, there was 13 kids, like, but we were never short of anything, you know, that way. So it was brilliant. But going back to the running thing, I never got involved with running until the boot camp people. So I obviously done all the training in boxing, then always had a love and a passion for training. So, like, I mean, the boxing gym turned into a weightlifting gym. I was age 12, and I had to beg my eldest brother to allow me to train, because, you know, back then there was... And even now, like, you don't want kids lifting heavy weights, so they were conscious of that, but... He used to get me over to the gym, and it was very liable to flooding, you know. When somebody left the taps on running upstairs, we'd get all the flooding down in the basement. So Muggins here was the child, or the lad who was, you know, mopping it out. And, sorting the flood out. But I learned loads from those lads. Like, at the age of 12, I was in around weightlifting from the age of 12. But again, I carried that into my teens. I'd done a few courses, like, after school and stuff, you know. I went into, like, learning about health and fitness, all that kind of stuff. I'd done degree course in physical fitness and conditioning for sport. Actually going that was with Setanta, and I'm going to do a master's now starting this year. Actually starting March. We're March now, aren't we?
Yeah, we're in March now.
That's starting the end of the month, like, you know.
Daily.
So, I grew up around it, loved it, had a passion for it. And then, obviously, through the boot camp classes, people started running and wanted me to do it with them. So I did. And then that brings us up to 2011. That run I was talking about earlier was a 5K in Phoenix Park. I finished it in like 21 minutes or something, which was a good time, like, and showed you that I had good hand fitness.
Yeah.
But, like, I felt like I got hit by a truck, you know, that way. I had great football fitness. I played, I was still playing... Yeah, I was playing international futsal at that stage as well, so I had a great level of fitness. But
Ireland, international
football? Futsal is like indoor soccer.
Indoor soccer.
But Jesus, I was fecked after that, like, you know. And it was but I loved it. I loved it. I talk about this as well in the book. It's different to football. It's different to gym. There's just something that I really connected with it, like, you know. And it's very hard to explain what it is. It's almost like it's in our DNA as humans, you know. It's something almost tribal, like, you know, with it. There's a freedom in running, you know, that way.
When I run, I feel that. You feel that. It's like releases everything.
100%. And it just clicked with me. And I was like, I want to do more of that. I still want to do my gym. I still want to do my football, but I want to do more of that. And I started doing more 5K. So that was 2011. The following year, 2012, actually, I signed up to, because I loved it so much, I signed up to, the Dublin City Marathon. But I wanted to do the whole run series. So you do a 5K, you do a 5 miler at the time, which you don't do anymore. 5K, 5 miler, 10K, 10 miler, half marathon, and then you do the full marathon in October. So I signed up to that straight away, like, and I'd done all that year. Loved it as well. Done the marathon that year as well. And then just really got kind of swept up with it, like, you know, that way.
Yeah.
So I done the marathon 2012, and then I'm a fucker, like, I just wanted to do bigger, longer, you know, as opposed more to faster. Yeah, like I did want to do a sub-3 marathon, but more distance kind of pulled me versus, you know, times.
Yeah.
So I think I'd done a 3:12, my first marathon. Well, I call it my first marathon. It wasn't. I done a marathon in 1999 when I was a student in Trinity Comprehensive. I was playing football for Sandy Hill Celtic at the time, and Paddy O'Reilly, you know, Paddy threw 6 of us into the marathon the week before, signed us up for it, like, you know. So we were what, 18, 19, hadn't a fucking clue what we were doing, like, you know. So we were playing football all the time at this stage, so we thought we were super fit. And I was like, yeah, we'll do that, no bother, Paddy, sign us up. 6 of us done it. I think 2 of us finished, and we had to pretty much walk most of the second half. 2 of the others ended up in hospital, and I don't know what happened to the other 2, but they didn't finish it, like, you know. And actually, I was lucky to finish that one. I was caught halfway around. This is how naive I was at the time. I got, it was phone boxes actually, you know, no mobile phones.
Yeah, I remember them in the shopping centres.
Yeah, that's right. I was caught in a phone box trying to call a taxi to come and collect me halfway around.
That'd be me, yeah.
It was Martin Quinn is his name. I was there on the phone calling for the taxi, and next one, knock, knock, knock on the phone box. It was him. He's like, no, get out of there. No, we're going to finish this. Like, so he riles me up. I was like, right, fuck it. Like, let's do this. Hung the phone up, and we start walking, running. And we finished it. Like, it took us like 6 hours, 20 minutes, you know, that way. But we finished it, and it was a bit of crack, like, you know. But going back to that marathon then, finished that in 2012, and it was 3 hours 12. But as I said, I wanted to do longer. So it was 20, I think it was, and I love biking as well. I got into the biking as well. I think I bought one in 2010. Didn't really use it in 2011, but I used it in 2012 as well to do 2013 to do my first ultra. Was across Ireland, so it was like run, kayak, bike, run, kayak, bike, something like that. Anyway, all the way across Ireland, and that was class. Like, so I got pulled into ultra more so than, you know, trying to break 3 in the marathon, which I'm actually trying to do this year for the first time, like, you know. Yeah. But and I done ultras then for the next few years, like, you know.
There's 227 hours one then, were they?
Oh, you're probably talking about the
Decades challenge, yeah.
So that's an Ironman. I done one Ironman 2014, I think, and that was in Wales. That was my first Ironman. So it's 3.8k swim, 180k bike, and then a marathon, which is 42k run. So that was my first Ironman. Like that, I just signed up for that, like not knowing much about it, just saying I'll have a go at that. Like, I like things that I don't know if I can finish. Yeah. Like, I do Ironmans now. Like, I done 2 at the end of last year, but it was more just to do them with other people and stuff. I know I can do them, so it doesn't excite me as much as something that I don't know if I can finish.
Like,
you know, that way.
The unknown.
The unknown, yeah. So I signed up to Deca UK, which was in 2017. Now, I signed up to it, I'd say, in about 2015. Not a fucking clue, like, what I was doing, you know, that way. But it sounded epic. Just
because it says Deca Challenge.
Yeah. And I knew it was obviously what it was. I remember I was training for Ironman in 2015. It was for my second Ironman, I think, but I did want to do a lot better. So I signed up with a coach. Bjorn is his name, Bjorn Luddick, and he's based down in Cork now. He was up here in Dublin at the time, and he was like a legend in triathlon, you know, that way. Yeah. So to get him was like, yeah, this is class. I'm gonna do well here. He was Irish national champion in 2011, so he had big pedigree about him, you know. So I trained with Bjorn a bit, and he knew I was doing longer stuff, Ironman and stuff like that. So I said to Bjorn has found this thing and I've signed up to it already, like, you know. So we're training for this now, and it's called a Deca, like, and he's like, right, I'll go and do a bit of research on it. And later that day he rang me back, he's like, you know, this is like 10 Ironmans in 10 days. Like, it's like, yeah. All right, I'll call you back later then. So,
thinking, is there something wrong with him?
Yeah. So we put a plan together. Like, he's great. He's quality. Like, you know what I mean? It's not, you have to do this. You have to do this. You can input with him. He's a great soundboard. Like, you know that way. And together we put a plan in place for the next couple of years. Like, you know. So I was training probably from the end of 2015 in all of 2016 into 2017, and our plan was to like do like like training camps, you know. So I had the no bother doing an Ironman then at that stage, you know, that way I knew I could do one of them. So we put a few of them together in terms of a training camp, and we've done that a couple of times throughout the year then. And 2017 then it was October, and it was in a place called Eton Dorney in the UK, and it was October, wasn't warm, you know that way, so the lake was quite cold. It got down to like 12, 11, 10 degrees, which is cold. So you're talking swimming in wetsuits, gloves, booties. Now I was all right, like, to be honest. I was happy enough just to go with the wetsuit, and I had another. It's called like it's like a skin rash. It's underneath your wetsuit.
Right.
Like, it's another millimeter of neoprene to give you that extra little bit of heat. So I was happy enough not to use gloves and things, but I think later on I started using them actually because it got so cold. But you get out of the lake and I mean, you're fucking shivering.
Yeah,
you know,
I believe it.
But they had a shower there. You could get under the shower for a couple of minutes and heat back up. But that's what a Deca is. It's 10 Ironmans, 10 days. So obviously I gave you the things earlier. It's like 3.8k swimming, 180k on the bike, and then a marathon. Every day for 10 consecutive days.
This makes me feel tired just sitting here.
It's tough going.
Jeez, people ever ask, like, are you mad?
Yeah.
You probably get it all the time, do you?
Yeah. But it's like if you put the training in, but again, it was something that I didn't know. Like, so there is an element of not knowing what to expect. But to be fair, I talked about those camps we put in. I think one of them was like 5 consecutive half Ironmans, and then the big one was like I think 6 consecutive full Ironmans minus the run, where every second day we took some of the running off because running is very destructive on your body, you know that way. So like to recover from 10 marathons in 10 days, like you're talking weeks, like, you know. So we were very conscious of that and didn't want to, you know, put too much damage on my body before the event. But still had, I think I'd done a marathon, half marathon, something like that, you know, I can't really remember. But it gave you that feeling of doing the Ironmans every day, but taking away a bit of the damage. Like, so we are smart-ish, you know, that way.
How'd you, like, I know you prepared for it in the likes of training, how'd you mentally prepare for it though? Like, when you were on that course, like, was any time you were thinking, oh, I'm over my head, or this is hard, or what? Like, was your mind playing tricks on you at all?
Yeah. Like, I think 15 to 20 of us, maybe 18, maybe something like that, of us started that event, and 5 of us finished. You know that way. So 90% of that race is mental. 90% of it, if not more. Like, you know that way. But you get the mental strength from those camps I was talking about. So like every day on let's say that even the 5 half Ironmans, you don't want to get out of fucking bed. You don't want to, like, because there's a drive to the pool as well to do it, like, you know. So in just saying, right, I just have to get started here, already I get mentally stronger. I remember we done as well 2 in 2 days, 2 full Ironmans, and this was actually a race, and it was the first time it was ever done in Ireland. At an event called Celtic Warrior, and it was done in August, right? And the Deca was done in October. So I said to myself, I'm not allowing myself to go to England and compete unless I finish this. And I think 25 of us started day 1. Now 25 of us didn't sign up for day 2. I think something like 10 or 11. But 2 of us showed up to the lake on day 2 because it was biblical. It was biblical. It was lashing down. 2 of us showed up to the thing, and the confidence I got out of that straight away was like, right, you're doing something right here. You're showing a bit of something here. You know the way. The other fella didn't finish the swim, so you can only imagine the smile on my face. And I mean, smile on my face in me triathlon bars. Headwind into fucking a storm, basically, you know that way.
Spoiled as you could be.
I swear to God, I felt fucking epic. I felt like the shit, you know that way. Like 20 odd lads, and here's me, like the last one standing. So I got great confidence out of that. I got great mental strength out of that. Now the rest of the day was tough, like, you know, especially the run. That I got hammered out of it on the bike. It felt relentless on the bike, like, you know. It was 6 laps, and there was this area in particular you're going. I'd say it was about maybe 5k straight into that wind, and it was like hurting your face, you know that way. But I still couldn't stop smiling. I swear to God. And then the run again, it was just a bit of crack. I remember I had my wife there crewing for me, and we just made a bit of fun out of it. It wasn't like, you know, this I have to finish this marathon in 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. I think it might have took me 5.5 hours, 6 hours. But I planned it to, where I was stopping, having a drink, having some jokes with my wife. Like, I got her to make a few videos or something. I had this, do you ever see Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
He has on the hood up, what do you call those things?
Like the rain thing.
Yeah, the rain poncho. The rain poncho. And we made a few videos. I had on one of them. I was like fucking doing Forrest Gump's voice and all this kind of stuff. But we made it a bit of fun.
Yeah.
So then you're not thinking, oh, my bleeding leg is hanging off here.
Stress
Like,
away.
you know, that way. Yeah, and that's what you try and do then in the Deca. I had a great crew. I had my sister there for the whole thing. I had like, I call them like almost substitutes, like where I had 2 in, 2 out every couple of days, like, you know, that way. And they brought something different, you know, but it was all fun. It was all crack. Yeah. Like, my legs are in a heap. By day 7, the accumulation of tiredness, pain, everything in my legs, it's undescribable.
Just gonna say that, like, you go through so many races, swims, cycles, like, surely the body takes a good bit of beating. Like, how bad does it get? Like,
yeah, and I was expecting that because I'd done my research, like, and I chatted with lads who had done them, and day 7, they reckon, is the day where your body kind of it's at its worst, but it starts to think, okay, this mad bastard's going to keep doing this now forever. Basically, he thinks they're doing it forever, so I need to adapt, and it does. Like, but day 7 was my worst day. Like, I swear to God, not bullshitting you, my legs gave way underneath me. Literally gave way. I was like, what the, you know, I fell on the ground. I was lashing. It was a bad day as well. To be fair, most of the days we got were really good. It was October, but it was like an Indian summer, you know, that way. So I think there was 2 or 3 areas where you got a bit of bad rain, and this was one of them. But my legs just went from under me. And I was running the first 6 marathons. I ran on asphalt, right? So, but you did have an option to run on grass, but grass slows you down a little bit if you're running on it. So I was like, I want to get these finished, kind of thing, you know. So I didn't really. A guy there, his name was TC. He had given me a bit of advice and saying, you know, run a bit on the grass, like, but. For that, I listened to him for everything else, but one thing, I don't know my training. Sorry, I'm going in tangents here. I don't know my training on the, you know, the loop there where we do our around the comp. Yeah. So I done all my run training on there. So I was like, well, my legs will be well used to this anyway. So I won't run in grass. I should be hardened enough to do this. But the accumulation of running on the asphalt for 6 marathons, I could feel it in my legs in on day 7. And my hip just kind of seized up, my legs just seized up, and I literally just collapsed on the ground. I think it was halfway through the marathon on day 7, and I was like trying to get up and go again, and I just start walking, and I swear to God, they just went again. I was like, my race is over here, lads. It's done. So for some reason, I had my phone on me. Actually, I used to leave it back at the thing. I think I was making a video or something, because I was making videos trying to. Almost have information for myself for later. I didn't know at that stage I did want to write a book, but I did know I wanted the info, you know, that way. For what, I wasn't sure. But anyway, I was lucky I did, but I have my phone there. So I rang my wife and I was like, I wasn't giving up. I at any stage I wasn't saying, in my head I was like, I'm probably done here, but I'm not giving up, like, you know. So I rang my wife because I knew she'd be the one to say, nah, don't give up. She wouldn't be like, you know, get off the fucking ground and all this kind of stuff. She'd know the right stuff to say. I swear to God, she'd be the one person who would know what to say to me. And she did. She was like, listen, just finish that lap if you can and have a chat with the lads and blah, 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 and see how it goes, like, you know. But I literally couldn't get off the floor. I was there on the ground. And as well, I write about this as well. It was fucking hilarious. I was on my own. It was dark, very dark at this stage. So it would have been around 10 at night. No lights on the course or anything. So it was kind of pitch dark. And all you can hear is geese. There was the lake that we swam in, kind of running along that, right? and the geese are just barking, like the noise of them. And I was in pain. I think I might have been fucking crying at this stage as well. I was like, shut up, you fucking assholes. Shouting, having an argument with geese, like, you know that way. But it was funny. But I managed to get off the ground and start walking for a while anyway. And Miriam had rang the lads as well to tell them the situation. They were crewing back in a camper. We had a camper that we drove over in, and the lads jumped on the little yellow bikes that we had brought, just for them to be able to come out and back or whatever. So they flew down to me and basically just gave me a little bit of a pep talk as well. So I was walking, 20 seconds on, fucking 20 seconds off kind of thing, just to get back to the camper. And then I jumped into the camper for about 10 minutes. They were saying, like, you know, give yourself an hour or whatever. And that was the first time I took any pain medication as well. And so I was lying there. I was going to give a half an hour, 20 minutes. But after 10 minutes, like, right, brand new again. Let's just go.
Let's go.
Like, you know the way. Yeah, I wasn't giving up. Like, you know the way. It's just kept. If I had to do that run walk thing for the rest of the night, I had half a marathon done. Just had to get another half. Like, so we managed to get it done anyway. But then the unknown of what was to come the next day, like, you know that way. So I was like, oh, this is going to be really hairy, like, you know. But I was fine in the swim. Like, I reckon that swim was like Lord's. It had like a little bit of a regeneration kind of thing to it. It was the cold water. Excuse me. But and then on the bike, you could feel the hip starting to seize up a bit on the bike. But again, there's no pounding effect on the bike. So it was still like unknown, like what's going to happen now on the run. So when I started to run, it was a little bit like, you know, running on eggshells. Like, what's going to happen here if I open it up a bit? So I kept it easy. Yeah, man, but it was fine. Like, the body just literally, it's incredible. Like, you know, it just literally managed to almost heal itself overnight. Yeah, no, it wasn't easy. Like, there was still all the pain there. There was still run walking, but it was much, much better than day 7. You know that? Much, much better. But there was still that element of taking it easy, day 8, day 9, and then on day 10 it wasn't fully healed or anything, but you could open it up a bit, because if you had to walk the whole thing, you could, like, you know. Day 1, I finished dead last. Dead last because I listened to TC. I meant to mention him earlier. He was saying, let everybody, you know, do their own thing.
Don't rush with the crowd.
Don't rush with the crowd. Well, in saying that, I probably had no choice on the bike. Fucking the first lap, not even the first lap, the first kilometre or 2 on the bike, I got this puncture on my wheel on the back. The spokes broke and went through the thing, so the bike was just useless. Like,
what happens there then? Do you get a spare?
I had a spare, I had a spare, but like some lads didn't. You know, it would have been a matter of thing. Now, in saying that, a spare, I probably would have been fucking more comfortable running. Honestly, it was the bike I mentioned earlier. It was my first bike I bought in 2010. So I done all my training on what's called a TT bike, or a time trial bike. So you're in this kind of position.
Yeah.
You get low. So your hands are out in front of you and you're more aerodynamic, you know, so it's much faster. But it's less, like, you train yourself to get more comfortable on it, you know, so that's why I've done all my training. So if I had to change my position on another bike, I'd feel it. And I did, like, you know, the way. So I had to do the first 2 Ironmans basically on, it's an entry-level bike, like, you know, but it got me through. It was you know, I was blessed to have it, like, so I won't slag it. Like, but, you know, I wouldn't be caught dead on one day, put it that way, you know.
So you're the one that does all the running, all the stuff yourself, but surely there's a big team behind you, like, and not even a team, like family and kids come into it, like, all get behind you and stuff.
100%.
Like,
that
how
race
important,
in particular, you know. Yeah. And I speak on that regularly if I'm doing talks or whatever. I speak on it regularly. Like, if I was there on my own, all that stuff I just talked about, I'd probably be fecked, like, you know, way. But again, like I mentioned there, I finished last on day 1, and then me and my crew changed one thing. What did we change? And no, we didn't change much on day 2, but basically we were changing little bits. Oh, we did. Apologies. On the first day, I got off the bike, went into the camper after 5 laps, had a quick bit of scran, back on the bike and went again. Day 2, right, and I finished day 1 dead last, right? Day 2, all we changed was I didn't get off the bike and go into the camper. I just had me food at the side of the road, and went again, but it was still 5 laps. So my crew would literally come out. Now they'd have the food. You talked about crew there. They'd have the food ready. I didn't have to do anything, right? And then on day 3, they had the food ready, and I'd stay on the bike and cycle past them and grab it off them and eat it on the bike.
On the bike.
So day 1, I finished dead last. Day 2, I didn't finish. I didn't cycle any harder, faster, whatever. I finished mid-table, and my time was exactly the same. I mean, 1 minute, or was it 1 minute or 2 seconds? Yeah, 1 minute or 2 minutes. Sorry, 1 minute or 2 seconds in the difference, right? 1 minute, 2 seconds in the difference, I think. Over the whole day. 1 minute different, and I finished 5th. Fifth, mad, right? Day 3 then, instead of getting off the bike or stopping and eating, I just grabbed the food and ate it, and I won. I won day 3. Changed slightly little things, but pretty much the same. On day 4, I won day 4. Day 5, a little bit, we fine-tuned it, you know. My brother Kev and Linda, they're very, very competitive. They're into GA and everything else. My brother Kev's an osteopath. So fine-tuning it. And won day 5, day 6, won. Had the blip on day 7 we talked about. So I think I finished 3rd or something. So lost a bit of time there. Got back on track then day 8, but was just very conscious of what was happening on the run. But still managed to win day 8. 1 day 9, and then 1 day 10, like, you know. So that was all because of the crew.
Yeah.
You know that way? All because of the crew.
So it's a team, it's pretty much a team sport.
It really is a team event. And then on day 10, it was fucking gas. Like, on day 10, yeah, my man all shows up, like, you know. So there's about 15 of them there. And I didn't know about this, and I was off doing a lap, like, head down, hammering the lap, because day 10... you don't have to get up on day 11, you know that way. So I nailed the bike. Day 10 bike was the fastest bike of the 10 of them, because I could just let loose, you know that way. And I came back off one of the laps, like, and there was just a big gang of them there. There's about 15 of them there. Me ma, me sisters, brothers. There was kids there. My coach was there with his wife, his kid. It was gas, like, but they all had banners and all, you know. It was gas.
Ballymun on tour.
Yeah. That was brilliant. My ma had a sign made of cardboard, and do you ever see Mrs. Doyle in Father Ted? It was like, go on, my son.
That's the stuff you need, isn't it?
But yeah, great crack, like, you know, great crack.
Describe the feeling when you cross the finish line to know that you are done your 4th Deca challenge.
It's hard, like, you know. It is hard, like, but pride is one of them. Pride is the big one, probably. And more like it's not like, oh yeah, like, I won this, I'm great or anything. It's like I did it for them, like, you know, I did it with them, like, you know. So there's a real sense of a team effort. My wife was there at the finish line. Me kids of 3 boys, like, and they were only nippers at the time. They're the youngest 2 are 17 and 18 now this year, like, you know. But to have them there, yeah, just, and them to see it, like, you know, because they were into sport as well. They're into swimming and playing basketball and everything now, like. So yeah, a sense of pride, and going back to it as well, like I know your first podcast was on anxiety and stuff like that as well. I lost my brother-in-law that year, 2017, to suicide. He passed away to suicide. So the whole thing was for him, like, you know, or he was a big part of it, you know, that way, because he was living with us at the time as well. So he was a big part of our family, and he was into this. Just a little bit of back info on this as well. He was into you know, Bugsy Malone.
Yeah,
loved Bugsy Malone. He'd be blaring them all out. I wasn't into him at the time. I was like, turn that fucking shit off. But it did grow on me, like, you know, and this song in particular, Gotta Keep Moving. I think it's just called Moving.
Yeah,
right? The song is called Moving, but the words are Gotta Keep It Moving. You know that way?
Right.
And again, like that fucking thing, day 7, that was in my head, Gotta Keep It Moving. I had it actually wrote on my arm. I had it on paper in the crew, what you call it? We had a gazebo, sorry is the word I'm looking for. Had it back on in a banner on they had it everywhere. Do you know what I mean? It was on our banners. Got to keep it moving. Got to keep it moving.
It's like he was there with you then all
It was
along the
like
way.
he was there. Yeah. It's fucker. Yeah, you're getting a bit emotional.
Sorry.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. But yeah, so that sense of, doing it for him, doing it for my family. So pride, I suppose, and probably relief it's over as well, that way. But I tell you, I got up day 11. I was up before anybody. The body, again, it's fucking insane. I was up at 7 o'clock or something. It's like twiddling my thumbs. It's like, what am I doing here? Walked around. I was having a chat with. I walked into the gazebo where all the crew, not my crew, it's like a HQ for the organisers. And the photographer was asleep on the ground, so I was having a chat with her, like this kind of thing. But it was still a relief that it was done, it was over. Because I don't mean for it to sound easy, it was no means fucking easy, that way. And there was a lot of mental kind of battles, like. But again, going back to got to keep it moving, doing it for Mick, doing it for Mears, doing it for the boys, my crew who have come over, I'm I'm not paying them to come over, They're getting their own flights, you know what I mean? It was just incredible.
Your greatest achievement?
Yes, and even I did it again in 20. Now it's different, and I'll talk on it now in a second. But yeah, because I hadn't a fucking clue what I was doing, So it was kind of learned by doing.
The
first time, biggest one. By far, still the greatest.
Yeah.
And I've done things that are probably bigger and harder, maybe. Yeah. Which I'll talk on there now as well. But yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely biggest achievement, most enjoyable achievement. Definitely.
Guilty pleasures. Surely you have
popcorn. Anything with apple in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, popcorn. I'm a fucker for popcorn.
Because we know you're vegan, aren't you? Is that right?
Yeah. So, but there's still lots of stuff like you can eat, that's come on a lot. When I went vegan, there was no real treats, and the ones that were there were like fucking cardboard. It's come on so much. Like you can go to Rolling Donut now and get vegan donuts, and they're incredible.
Lovely,
sourdough donuts. Like, my favourite one there is the say it for me, not pecan, pistachio.
Oh, lovely,
So stuff like that, but I love a bag of popcorn. Yeah. I love a bag of popcorn.
So that'd be a go-to popcorn, would be?
That would be me, yeah, especially the last few months, I do love pistachio nuts. I had some last night. You'll find a donut or an apple donut or an apple Danish that are vegan. Quality.
Lovely,
yeah.
And your voice for kids that want to get into running. Now you're a part of the running club. So, and your voice for kids that want to get into the running club and get running.
Yeah, when I grew up, there was no running club, that way. There was tons of football clubs, and you could, but that's what was in the area. So Ballymun is blessed now and should really take advantage of that running club. It's getting bigger and bigger. Now we do have Clonliffe, but it's a little bit farther away, and it's probably a bit more serious, which might turn kids off. Now it does get a bit serious over there as well, but
serious. What do you mean by serious? Like very competitive?
But it's like you don't have to be competitive. Like with a football club, you have to be competitive.
Try get into the first 11,
first team, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
With this, it's slightly different in that you can decide if you want to run cross-country 800s or blah, 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 or you can still enter them. But there's I suppose it is similar, but there's not that kind of pull that you're forced into doing them, that way. Yeah. Now, it's a young club, whereas Clonliffe is there years, so maybe give us time, and flesh out all those mistakes or whatever. But there's a great community buzz over there at the moment.
I do see the videos on the Instagram page and stuff. Looks great.
I mean, some of the lads, there's two lads over there that are twins, and they won events in Lusk on the weekend. Both of them, one beat the other, the first and second. But
the motor and the gaff and the
they're top runners, the way. So it'd be amazing. It is amazing that the club is there now. So you might be able to hold on to them. I know they play a bit of gar and all, but if you can imagine those boys now in 10 years, I mean, sky's the limit for them. And they're, I think they're 12 or 13. They're big lads, that way. They look a little bit older. So, they've a little bit of an advantage. But there's younger kids as well. But if they're joining when they're 6 and 7, Imagine where they'll be when they're 12. Imagine where they'll be when they're 18, daily. You know, that way. So that wasn't there. So I suppose my advice straight off is join that running club. Straight off. It wasn't there when we were kids. I mentioned it there earlier. I only got into running when I was 31, like, you know, that way. So imagine if I wasn't playing football with clubs, but I was playing football all the time. Like, I mean, and that's what allowed me to play futsal at the international level. I wasn't playing it when, I wasn't playing soccer, say, you know, that way. It was just street ball. So that's like, it developed that kind of touch and blah, blah, blah. But if you can get them in early into that running club, I mean, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm talking Olympic level, possibly. Really, possibly. They don't have to stay with Ballymun forever, but they might get, you know, into national. They might get seen at national level and get brought into like national squads and all that kind of. Why not with Ballymun though? Why not with Ballymun?
Why not? There's nothing wrong.
Why not with Ballymun? I mean,
if someone can be the first, there's going to be a lot more to follow then as well. Like,
open the doors.
100%. 100%. Like, you know, like the lads, the coaches there are constantly trying to. We were on a course there, and I mean, we're way past that level in terms of coaching. You know that way. So why not Ballymun? I was football mad when I was. I started following United when I was.
Sorry about him.
Before they were good, like, so it would have been before, I'd say 91, and just so happened to, did they win 92? Yeah, it was, no, sorry, insane that before. They start winning in 92, but way before that, I started supporting because remember I talked about the Prendos versus everyone else. So the two lads I mentioned, the Dorners, John and Robbie, their dad, he's actually he was the head coach for, you know, I think it might be called Ballymun Boxing Club now, but it was Dominic Savio's in Virgin Mary. So he was a big United head.
It is Ballymun Boxing Club,
when we were 6, 7, 8. So obviously we got into football and we supported. They were the only football club we knew, like, you know, that way. So obviously he was supporting them back when they were good, and then they got shit. And we were supporting them when they were shit, and then they got good when I got into 92. I think they won their first Premier League, and then years of winning. So just by luck, I was. So I didn't start supporting them when they were good, you know. But United. I was United mad, like, you know. I was fucking Keno mad. Loved Keno.
Everyone does.
Went to Keno's testimonial with me mate as well. But I was just football mad, you know, that way. And anything about United, loved them, like, you know.
And now they're shit again.
Now we're shit again. It's heartbreaking.
Just your book, Ger.
Plug your book.
Yeah, so I wrote the book, obviously. I actually wrote the book within a week after coming back, but it was just like regurgitating all your memories, and that's where the videos and all came in. So it took it like a week, and it was like 150,000 words or something. But so it was funny then. I met a guy at a Ballymun for Business thing. I actually wrote it and did nothing with it, you know, that way. And I was probably sitting there for a good year. And then I met a guy, an Italian guy called Gianni, at a Ballymun for Business meeting, probably a year later, and gave it to him. And he was like, yeah, it's great, there's something here, but, you know, you're not an author, you know, that way. So we worked together for like the next 5-6 years. I mean, creating like chapters, and there's so much in it. There's so much
5-6 years is a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, like, so I mean, I went down from 150 words to probably 60,000 words, 70. I can't even remember the last word count on it, but it's great. Like, and the stuff that I had in those 150,000 words or whatever was just the 10 days, you know, the way. So now I mentioned the chapter 1 is about the urban farm. Chapter 2, I had a little bit of an issue with alcohol growing up as well in my 20s, like, you know. So talks about that as well, and getting rid of that. Chapter 3 was something about nutrition then. When I got rid of the alcohol, I really got into nutrition. The vegan thing coincided with the triathlon thing. I started doing that. That was about 2013. Then chapter 4 I think, was all about the start of triathlon, going solo, because stopping playing football, going solo, that's called, into, you know, going longer into triathlon, something like that. And then chapter 5 was all about the races. So Dublin City Marathon, then the longer ones, and they got longer, Ironman Wales, blah, blah, blah. Then the ultras, and then the one I talked about, the 2 in a row, that kind of stuff. that led up to Deca UK, and then chapter, I think it might be 6 or 7, is all about the Deca, like, you know. And then there's one about the aftermath, and then that's pretty much it. There's 9 or 10 chapters.
Do you want to tell them the name of the book as well, so they can try and get it, and where they can get it?
So the book is called Gotta Keep It Moving. Yeah. And then the subheading is like park runner to ultra endurance champion.
If a 20-year-old Ger Prendergast was sitting right in front of you now, what advice would you have for him?
Well, I don't know. It's hard. Like, I don't think I'd change anything.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd change anything. Even the football, like I wouldn't play football now. You know the way I would have loved to have been in swimming as a young man. You know, but I still don't think I would change anything. The alcohol was a fucking nightmare. If I was speaking to anybody, I mean, even like we think even the few beers on the weekend, like, is nothing. It is something.
Yeah.
It is something. And that's what I didn't realise at the time. And then those few beers, like, you know, after a match or whatever, turned into 2 nights, turned into 3 nights, turned into 4 nights. And all of a sudden,
you're in a row.
You have a problem.
Yeah.
You have a problem.
You don't
like,
realise it.
Like, I wasn't... It's hard to explain. It's not like, you know, you're drinking in the middle of the day, blah, blah, blah. But it's affecting your performance in football and health and fitness. It's affecting what you do at home. It's affecting your family. Therefore, it's a problem. So I'm glad I realised that. I realised that when I really got into me international football and I cut it out. And I mean, my performance, lads, was just skyrocketed. Yeah. So I wish I had done that earlier, and that's something I would plead people with doing now. Like, food is great, and the food thing I changed to vegan. Again, I got another burst, but not as much as the alcohol. And I would want to. I think I stopped drinking when I was 27, but if I was 20, I don't think I was even. I only started drinking when I was, you know, 16 or something, which is early. But I didn't drink, like, you know, in pubs. You couldn't get into pubs until you were 18 or whatever. But I wish I had never touched it.
Really?
It's a fucking poison. Sorry for cursing, but it's a poison. No. It really is. That's what you're paying to put that into your body. Now, it's hard to explain that to an 18 or 20-year-old, and I think you have to find your own way and find your own path. And I think my path was still, I caught it early at 27. I wish I had caught it earlier, you know, that way. I really do.
Ger, let's just say thanks for your time, for giving us up.
Ger, aka David Goggins. That's what I'm calling you from now on, David Goggins.
David Goggins.
Yeah, no,
well done on your achievements as well. Smashing.
No, it was great chatting with you. Honestly, you can listen to me. I could talk about this all day. Like,
it's a real inspiration, though. The Ballymun.
Anything health and fitness and helping people to get better, you know. So. Yeah, no, fair play for having me.
Thanks very much, Ger.
You're welcome, my man.
Thank you.
Nice one.
Thanks very much.
Fair play, lads.
See you all next week.
See you next week.